We are recording this webinar again so that people can catch up later if they're not able to make it live. And the recordings will be available on our YouTube channel within a day or two. I'll send you an email once the link is ready. Feel free to share that with anyone and everyone. The more the merrier. We have plenty of room for everyone to join live or to watch the recordings. As I mentioned to those who were coming in a little bit early, we have muted everybody, and Beth, who is my assistant, will be unmuting people. I'm seeing a hand up already, so that's a great reminder. If you have a question, you can raise your hand. If you're on the computer, that's option Y to raise your hand and lower your hand. If you're on your phone, dialed in by phone, it's *9. When I call on you, I will unmute you, and if you've muted yourself, then you'll need to unmute. If you're on a Mac, that's Command-Shift-A. If you're on a PC, it's Alt-A, and if you're on a phone, it's *6. So you can chat to the hosts at any time. If you want to let us know something, I'll try to respond either by talking, or I might respond to you privately. And I'm seeing a question from Arianna. I will go ahead and let you ask your question, Arianna. Yes, you're unmuted.
Oh, good. I was like checking. So I was gonna look at the I've got a friend who would be interested, but in this webinar series, but unfortunately she's doing something at the same time. And I saw the first webinar, you could download an audio file of it, but on the second one, I couldn't do that. And I don't know if it's because it's YouTube or what's happening with that. It was kind of strange.
It may be YouTube, but I can get you the audio files. If you'll send me an email, connect@wayaround.com, I can get you a link directly to that audio file. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I know there's some other people who use other assistive devices that would really benefit from that. So if that's something you would like, I'm trying to include the link, and I know as Arianna mentioned, sometimes it doesn't work the same for everyone. So if that's something you need, email connect@wayaround.com. That'll go straight to me, and I can get you that audio file. Another follow-up from last week is we had several people internationally who said that the WayAround app was not available in their country, and we have changed all the settings that WayAround on iOS and on Android devices are available worldwide. So if you are trying to find it, you should be able to find it. The app name is WayAround Tag and Scan. And if you're having any trouble, just send me an email and I'll make sure that you're able to access it. And if you are international, we have a couple of distributors located in the United States, atguys.com and Independent Living Aids, and they will ship internationally so that you can also get WayTags. And if you need that information, again, you can email me and I'll make sure that you get it. So I believe that is all of the housekeeping. And with that, I would like to introduce our co-hosts. I am just so thrilled that we have Ryan Fleury from Canadian Assistive Technology. Ryan is a WayAround user, and he's just had tons of great ideas. Canadian Assistive Technology is WayAround's only Canadian distributor. So if you're in Canada and want to try out WayAround, they're definitely the people to talk to. And Ryan, I'd love to let you introduce yourself and say a little bit more about what you do.
Me first. Well, the pressure's on. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I am totally blind. I lost my sight in 1995. And like many people, have had to relearn how to identify different objects. Being a musician as well, I like to dabble with different types of guitar strings. I play guitar and bass guitar, ukulele. And so I've had to figure out ways of labeling those. In the past, I've used items or products like the Pen Friend. I've used Braille Dymo tape labels. And that's all fine and dandy. It worked, it did its job, but I'm always having to find Dymo tape, my Braille labeler, my Pen Friend, batteries for the Pen Friend. And when WayAround came, I was pretty intrigued. I have my smartphone with me all the time. I use an iPhone XR with VoiceOver and occasionally a Braille display attached via Bluetooth. And so what I've been able to do is, because I like to try different strings on all of my guitars, I've been able to use stickers on some of the packaging, because some of the packaging of strings are plastic, others are in cardboard envelope sleeves. And so the stickers work great on the plastic packaging, but the clips work better for me anyway on the cardboard envelopes. In order to identify those, because I am totally blind, I've used different services like Be My Eyes, the Seeing AI app from Microsoft, and also my wife. My wife is sighted, so that's a bonus. And so once I get that written down, I can go back and start labeling these products. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like to just do a quick demonstration of that. So
Great.
I've got, sorry. So I've got a package of guitar strings here. I think they're guitar. They could be ukulele. They could be my bass strings. I'm not sure. And they're in a plastic envelope. And I've got a WayTag sticker on the front of it. So I'm just going to open the WayAround app on my smartphone.
One notification. Calendar. 05/29, 10 a.m. Mail. 3 unready. Page 2 of 3. Product identification folder. 7 apps.
And is that too fast?
I think it's a good speed.
Okay.
Product identification. Heading. WayAround. 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 Heading level 1. Banner.
Okay, so the WayAround app is now open, and I'm going to
Settings.
swipe
Button.
over to
Text
the read
field.
button
Scan. Read. Button.
and double tap that.
Alert. Ready to scan. Ready to scan.
And now I'm going to find the sticker and tap it.
Text field. Ernie Ball 3223 Super Slinky Electric Guitar Strings 3-pack 2223. Full stop.
So those are my Ernie Ball Super Slinky electric guitar strings. Now, the nice thing about being able to label them like this is because I like to try different strings. I could try D'Addario, I could try Martin, I could try many different types. So on the next package it is a cardboard envelope with a Way clip on it.
Scanner
So
ready.
I'm
Press
going
the
to
read button
swipe over
below.
to the read
Then
button.
hold the top part of your phone on the Way tag until you feel a double click. Read button.
And then
Alert.
tap the
Ready to
tag.
scan. Ready to scan. Text field. Classical guitar strings D'Addario.
And those are my D'Addario classical guitar strings. So that makes identifying my packages of strings really, really quick and efficient. Like I said, I always have my phone within arm's reach, and having different packaging of different strings can be a bit confusing. I've got an acoustic guitar, 12-string, classical, bass guitars, and this just makes life so much easier.
Well, and Ryan, one of the things I love about how you're using WayAround is that it really does show that you can put in notes, you can put in, tuning, and it's a lot more than just the information on the package. So you can really customize what you're doing. And I think it's a really clever way. And I just wanted to comment on a couple of things. So Ryan does not have a webcam, but what you're hearing is the voiceover from his phone, which for those who might not be aware, all smartphones have a voice reader that will read whatever's on your screen. So Apple has VoiceOver and Android has TalkBack. And if you're not familiar with those services, it really makes WayAround so much better. It will allow WayAround to talk aloud to you, and all the other apps and services that your phone provides. We have a great little video on our YouTube channel that explains how to turn VoiceOver off and on if you want to get that set up and start playing around with it. And there's also tons of great organizations that can help you get set up with VoiceOver. And I'll include some of those links in the wrap-up email. But WayAround will display the information in whatever way that you have set up on your smartphone. So if you have a lot of low vision tools, if you have bigger text or inverted colors, that's the way you're going to receive the information. So Ryan has his information come through VoiceOver, or Ryan, you also mentioned the Braille display, and WayAround can also work directly with a Braille display. So I think, Ryan, I want to get back to some of the things that you were mentioning, but let me take a moment and have Melissa, our other co-host, introduce herself. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, my name is Melissa Wagner, and I've been using WayAround for a little over a year now. I've come up with lots of creative ways to use it, organizing our house and everything in my life. I have some kids, so we're pretty busy, and there's a lot of stuff to keep track of and a lot of things to label. So I've been using WayAround now, like I said, for a little over a year, and I'm hoping to share with you some of the things I use it for and some of the tips I have.
Great. And Melissa, one thing I wanted to ask you about is the WayLink. Could you
Yes.
talk a little bit about that?
I am using mostly now the WayLink, and it is an accessory for the phone. I know that some phones, some older iPhones do not have the NFC readers in them. So I think it was originally designed for that, but I do have a newer iPhone. I have an iPhone 10, and I love the WayLink because it enables me to scan the tags in a way quicker than just with using the phone. And when I am looking for something, maybe a specific piece of clothing in the closet, I can take that WayLink in there with me and scan several things in rapid succession to try and find what I'm looking for.
And Melissa, I'll just right now hold the WayLink up to the camera.
Sure.
And for anyone who is able to, are you seeing my screen? It's about the size of a credit card, and it's white, and it has the black WayAround logo on it. It's plastic, so you can wipe it clean really easily. It's about a ½ inch thick, and it connects to your phone via Bluetooth. So it's very simple. You just turn a setting on in the WayAround app. You say use WayLink, it's in settings. We can show a screen share of that in a few minutes, but then you'll be able to scan with this little device. And I know Melissa has some examples of how she likes to use it.
Yes, the WayLink that I have, it was sent to me by WayAround, and it has a carabiner clip attached to it on a reel. And Darwin had sent it to me. He said that he was seeing how people liked these different clips and reels and what they could be used for. And I like it because I can attach it to my belt or even my pocket or anywhere and just pull out the WayLink to where I need it. The WayLink is attached to it and it comes out on a string. I am not sure if anybody could see like this at all. I don't know if you have one to show, Jessica, but I can pull this out pretty far. So I can have this attached to me and also have access to the WayLink and almost use it hands-free because I don't have to hold on to it while I'm, looking through things to scan with the tag.
That's great. And I'm seeing a question from a 417 number. I'll just pause and if you're the 417 number, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Barb. A question about the WayLink, but let me kind of back up a little bit. I have a hearing loss, and I also have a slowly degenerating vision loss. So I started out labeling things with the pen print because that's what was given to me. But I don't like it. I don't like my voice. And because I'm hard of hearing, I was having trouble understanding what it said. So when I found out about WayAround, I fell in love with it because I can use it on my iPhone. I have Bluetooth connection, so I'm able to get it to where I can understand it really well. On the WayLink, is there a way to connect it to a Bluetooth device in order to help me hear it better? Or is it strictly just a standalone and you just have to listen for it?
That's a great question, and one we get a lot. So Barb, it's not a standalone device. You do still need your smartphone, and that's where you'll get all of the information, either displayed to you or through your Braille reader or through, any sort of audio that you have. So I know our co-founder Armand uses the WayLink, which is connected via Bluetooth, and then he also has a Bluetooth earpiece. So he'll scan with the WayLink, it goes through the phone, and then he'll hear it in his Bluetooth in his headphones. So that's a really great way to optimize it, and it makes for a really nice setup. I know a lot of people use either a wired headphone or something that's Bluetooth.
Awesome.
Jessica,
yes, go
could
ahead,
I make an input? Yeah, one of the things that Armin really loves by using the WayLink and the headphones or the earbuds is that his wife, she commented, several years ago that everything in the house talked, and she was tired of hearing everything talk all the time. And so when Armin was able to link that to his earbuds, no longer did everything talk. So it made his wife extremely happy that he could get information without her hearing it speak.
That's a great point. Thanks, Darwin. And I see one other raised hand from Tony. Tony, go ahead.
Hi, Jessica. Hi. We came in a little late. I had a question about the WayLink. Now, my mom, she has no patience for a smartphone at all, none. Have you thought about making it where it would connect to an earpiece? Well, let me go back and rephrase it. Have you thought about making it talk with a self-contained system? I know you want to keep it little and simple, but she just has no patience for a smartphone, no patience for any kind of technology. I mean, she uses an Apex. That's the only thing that works for her. And I was thinking about she likes the tags, but has no patience for a smartphone at all. None.
Sure. It's a question that we get from time to time, Tony, is, people would like that standalone device. And right now, WayAround is really centered around the app. So you do need either an iOS system or an Android system. The more feedback that we get from people, we're always taking things into consideration, but for the foreseeable future, I think that you will need that smartphone, and the WayLink will be an accessory. And Darwin, if you have anything to add, feel free.
Yes, I would like to comment to that. One of the things that we are doing is to be able to move quickly and accomplish a lot of things just to be able to do it without spending a lot of money, is we're using other technologies and we're linking different technologies. And that's why we've chosen the iPhone. So because there's so much information there, has so much power to link to Bluetooth to any sort of device. Your question is a good one, and an opportunity that she may be able to do without having to use the iPhone or the smartphone, with a lot of interaction with it. If she did use the WayLink and you only label the description, she could just have the phone basically in her pocket, or she could carry it with her, or you could even link the phone to some Bluetooth speakers. Besides being just the earbuds, you could actually have it to speakers. And so all she would have is a WayLink, and she would just hold it up to anything and it would speak that description only. She would not be able to swipe down through all the other components, but she would not really even have to interact with the phone once she got it started.
Great. Thank you, Darwin. And Melissa, I wanted to ask you, I know that a lot of people get into the WayLink because their phone doesn't have an NFC reader. So at this point, I believe the statistic is about 85% of smartphones, iPhone and Android, have an NFC reader. If you have an iPhone 7 or more recent, it has an NFC reader, and I know there's a lot of buzz about the new SE that's coming out, and that one will have an NFC reader, so it's a great option if you're thinking about upgrading. If your phone is either an older iPhone or certain Androids, it doesn't really matter if they're newer or older. A few Androids don't have an NFC reader. Then you'll need the WayLink to make your phone compatible. But Melissa, you mentioned you have an iPhone 10 and you just love using the WayLink. And if you could talk a little bit more about some of the advantages that you see for that device, that would be great.
Yes, I can do that. I've just noticed since I've gotten my WayLink, I have a lot of WayTags around my house right now. I have a closet full of clothes that are hanging that have WayTags attached to them. And it was a little bit cumbersome to go in there with the phone and try to hold it just right and scan the tags if I was looking for a specific thing. With the WayLink, I can move through this job a little bit quicker because it seems like instead of when you scan with just a phone, once you are done reading a tag, you have to tap the read button again to read another tag. With the WayLink, you don't have to do that. You just touch it to the next tag and it reads it. You do have to wait a little, like a second or half a second for it to verify the tag and know what's on it. But I don't have to read between reading the WayTags, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And we're getting a question, does the WayLink take the place of the smartphone? And it does not. It works with your smartphone. So you do still need, your smartphone.
I can show a demonstration if you guys want in a minute.
That would be great.
With my WayLink and my phone, and I do have to use my phone. My phone is here, my WayLink is here. So I have, are we good? All right, yes. I have, oh, somebody's unmuted, I think. But anyway, I have the WayAround app open.
Create button.
On my phone. So I'm in the WayAround app, it's ready to go. I am going to turn on my WayLink and you will hear what happens when I do that. You're going to hear a high-pitched beep and the phone will say WayLink connected.
WayLink connected.
All right, so my WayLink is successfully connected. I set that up in my WayAround settings prior to this meeting, and I've got a basket full of WayTags here. So I'm just going to start scanning. I'm going to lay my WayLink and WayTag together.
Web dialog. Tag moved. The WayTag and reader were separated before scanning was complete.
And sometimes that happens. There we go.
Text field is editing. Character mode. Scanner ready to read the tag. Hold the WayLink on top of the WayTag until the phone vibrates.
All right, 1 second. So I'm holding the phone and the WayTag in the
text field is editing. Character mode. Clothes sizes 4 and 5.
All right, this is a WayTag for a tote of clothes that I had, and it's sizes 4 and 5. I'm taking that WayTag away and I'm grabbing another one. This is for a piece of clothing.
Text field is editing. Character mode. Light blue red long sleeve with knot in the bottom.
All right, this is for a clothing item that I have.
Wear with. Scanner ready to read the tag. Hold the
WayLink
on top of the
WayTag
until the phone
I have
vibrates.
to do, excuse me, phone. All I have to do is continue to hold the WayLink on top of my tags. And I don't have to even touch my phone if I don't want to. I've been touching it now, obviously, to kind of stop some of the extra speaking so that you guys can get an idea, but this is fast. This is very fast. I don't know if there's something else.
And Melissa, so we're getting a couple of questions if people are wanting visuals. So
sorry.
I'm holding, no, you're good. You're good. The audio is great. So I have my phone and my WayLink and there's nothing wired connecting them. If you see a wire on my phone, it's plugged into my computer because I'm going to do a screen share later, but it's not plugged into the WayLink. And so I'm going to lay my phone down and I was supposed to wait to scan this tag later, but I have a can of food and there's a WayTag right on the top of it. So I am just going to touch my WayLink directly to the tag.
Portofino solid albacore tuna and extra virgin olive oil with sea salt, Italian style. Net WT 4.5 ounces, 128 G.
So you'll hear this tag again later in the presentation, but
Jessica.
Yes.
Can you hold your phone up to your mouthpiece because we could not hear it when the voiceover was talking?
I might need a third hand.
Here, use mine.
Okay, let me see.
WayTag. Select certain right.
I don't have, okay, I don't have a third hand, but so my phone was speaking all of the information just the same way that you heard Melissa's phone speak the information. So for those of you who are asking, there's a couple of questions. How long is the charge of the WayLink? It stays charged for a very long time. I usually charge mine about once a week. It goes for about 5,000 scans, so you can really scan a lot. It's one of the great things about our technology, NFC, is that it takes very little battery power for the scan, and the tags of course have no battery, so you can do a lot of scanning with your phone, and it's not going to zap your battery power the same way as if you had your camera on and you were scanning something with a camera using a barcode finder or something like that, that just takes a lot more battery power from your phone. So I see there's several hands raised and I see several questions from the chat. So I'm going to pause, and MaryLee Turner, you're on.
Thank you. What you have referred to the NFC reader,
yes,
on iPhones. I don't know what that is. Can you give me a brief description?
Yes, that's a great question. So NFC stands for Near Field Communication. And what it is a wireless technology. We did not invent it. It's mainstream. If you've ever used Apple Pay or Android Pay, that's the technology that you're using. So you hold your phone really, really close to something. It has to be within about an inch, but touching is better. And then it wirelessly transfers information.
Oh.
So in your phone, you have, most phones have an NFC reader. If you have an iPhone, it is located right up here on the top skinny edge, not the front face or the back face, but that very top edge. If you have an Android phone, a lot of them are kind of in the back center. If you have a Google Pixel, this is where it's going to be, but it varies. So if you're having trouble finding your NFC reader on an Android phone, get in touch and we can help you figure out a way to do that. Really, really good question.
Using like the Apple Pay and
yes.
Okay, I don't use Apple Pay, so I think can just ignore it. Or what else can it be used for?
So the NFC reader, it's used for WayAround. So our tags are NFC tags. It's becoming a more prevalent technology, similar to QR codes, but QR codes, you have to use the camera. So NFC tags, it's just that you touch it and it transfers wirelessly. So,
great.
So yeah, if you go ahead, Darwin.
Yep. The NFC it's actually been around for a good number of years, and it's just now becoming more prevalent. The iPhone, Apple did not actually incorporate that technology or release it for anything other than their Apple Pay until a couple of years ago. But if you've seen commercials in the past where people just put their phones together and you're transferring pictures or transferring different files, it's just a way of sending information without them being connected with wires. It's a wireless communication, so you can send things from one item to another, and we're just sending information from these tags to the phone. So you don't have to use a camera. It's, as Jessica said, it's mainline technology. It's just catching on, and it's going to be the wave of the future. There's many manufacturers that are really coming on board, and there's going to be a lot more of this technology available as the years go by.
Great. And I have another question from the chat. Says, how far away can the phone be to the WayLink to make it work? So I want to be really clear on this answer. Whatever you're scanning the tag with, whether it's your phone or the WayLink, it needs to be really close. In fact, touching is best. But if you have your phone docked and you're using the WayLink can be up to 50 feet from your phone. So you're still touching the WayLink to that WayTag, but your phone can be across the room. So it's a lot of people, if you're cooking and you use your phone for recipes, you could have your phone docked somewhere so that you're not scanning potentially messy ingredients with your really expensive smart device, but you could have that WayLink that you're scanning through spices or cans of food. So really good question. Tina Hansen, I see that you have your hand raised. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, you're great.
Very good. I really love the WayLink scanner because, you know, if you're usually when I go shopping and bring home a bunch of dinners, we're, you know, my assistant and I are putting these in the freezer, and we just zip right through to the WayLink, the WayTags with the scanner, and it's much quicker than having to use the phone. And then we just put them on the dinners, put them in the freezer, and we're good to go. So, and I just love it. I would like to suggest some way to non-visually know on the, you know, either through the app or something, how much battery is left in the scanner, because if you don't know that the battery's died, you're like, uh-oh, and you have to charge it.
Thanks, Tina. That's a good suggestion. And it does, the battery does last a long time. And right now there are a couple of little lights, and I've had a few people chat in that the WayLink, there's a couple of buttons. It's pretty simple. So if you do have a WayLink and you have questions about what does what, I'm happy to give a further tutorial. I'm not going to go through right now since most people on the call don't have a WayLink in hand. But
okay.
But I do think doing a video and doing some additional training tools on the WayLink is something that we'll be doing in the very near future. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
thank
wonderful.
You.
That's wonderful. And that I really appreciate the WayLink, because even though my phone is a 10R, it's a newer iPhone, I figured, yeah, I'll just get the WayLink for convenience. Even though it's not required, I'll get it for convenience.
And so, it really does make a difference. So
oh, it does. You know, you're a musician presenter, I understand. You know, somebody was asking last week about a music collection with thousands and thousands of albums. So I'm assuming you were going to get to that?
Yes. Yep. And I have a couple of other questions that I'm going to get to, but then we'll get to Ryan. So
thank you.
Thanks, Tina.
Oh, and by the way, do you have a Bluetooth speaker? People can't hear your phone. Do you have a Bluetooth speaker?
I have a better setup for letting people hear my phone later. So,
oh, you do? Okay, because
yes.
people couldn't hear that last demo.
Thank you. Okay, and Tina Sohl, go right ahead.
Hi, I had a question. I was wondering if one person in the household has a smartphone and the other just uses the WayLink. If the person with the smartphone is out of the house or the phone is busy, can the one using the WayLink still use it? Or does the phone have to be, you know, pretty close by regardless of whether you're using the app on the smartphone or the WayLink itself?
Yeah, that's a good question. Darwin, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, that is a good question. Basically, the WayLink itself does not talk. It does not speak. It does not give you any information. It's simply a way to get the information to the phone without using the phone. So if you're using the WayLink, it would be sending information to that phone. If that other person was outdoors, that phone might start talking to him while you are inside. You would not hear it. If they're more than 50 feet away, it probably would not connect and they would not hear anything. Again, the WayLink just connects to the phone via Bluetooth. And so it's a way of getting the information without having to interact with the phone. As the lady spoke at the very beginning, she was kind of concerned that her mom could not, you know, she did not like interacting with phones. This is a way that you can use that without having to interact with the phone, and you just hold the WayLink to something and it will speak, but you still have to have that phone right there close to you, whether you're interacting with it or not, because this phone is what speaks.
Great.
Okay, thanks.
Good. And I'm seeing a bunch of a bunch of questions. I'm going to take two more and then we're going to move on, and we can cover some more questions in a little bit. So Arianna, you are up.
Okay, this one's going to sound a little weird. I actually was able to hear your voiceover pretty okay. I had to listen kind of hard, but I noticed one thing that jumped out at me really quickly. When, oh my God, Melissa, I'm terrible with names. I hope I
You're
got
good,
that right.
Melissa.
Yep, that's right.
When you were scanning your WayTag, voiceover kept saying text field is editing, and when Jessica, when you scanned yours, it didn't do that, and I don't know why that was. That was really strange, and I was like, can you edit it on the fly, or?
I don't know. It's been doing that recently. I think it's something in the app, maybe. I'm
Okay.
not sure. I think Jessica's did it too. I thought I heard it, but maybe not.
Oh, I don't. Maybe.
Maybe
could be
not.
wrong.
Good. Well, yeah, we'll look into that. You can very easily edit, and we'll get into that pretty soon. But whenever you're reading something, it shouldn't be saying that. So we'll.
Yeah, I think it does it sometimes too, even when I don't use the WayLink. I think it's something in the app that maybe just needs to be checked.
Cleaned up. Okay, yeah. We'll look into that. Good question, Arianna. Thank you.
That is a good question.
Okay, and I'm going to take one more, and then I do want to get to Ryan because we've had a few questions come in. Nelson, you're up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay.
Have
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
There we go.
I'm getting interrupted with another person. Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, with the NFC reader, can you read documents with it, like long bits, or is it just short information?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the reader reads the information that's on a tag. So the only thing that it's going to read is whatever is stored on that tag.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
WayAround uses the technology in a certain way. So you can put a lot of information on your tag. Most of the NFC tags only have a tiny little bit of information, like 1 or 2 sentences.
Okay.
But because of some of the way that we're using the technology and some of our patented way of doing this, you can write up to 2,000 characters on a WayTag.
Okay.
So that's a couple of pages in Word. So, you know, people who like to do board game instructions can often fit all of that on one WayTag. And Ryan, I'd love to let you talk a little bit, because I think you are getting up there with some of the information that you're putting on a WayTag.
Yeah, if you like, I can do a quick demonstration on a couple of my vital records. I know.
That would
go ahead.
That would be great.
Yeah, I think it was Terry last week who was saying he had a huge collection. So I've got 2 of my vinyl albums here that I've got tagged. I believe I've still got the WayAround app open
Scanner
here.
ready, press
I
the read
do.
button below. Then hold the top part of your phone on the WayTag until you feel a double click.
So this first album, I already know what it is, but I've also included the track list. So I'll let you listen to that for a second.
Read button. Alert. Ready to scan. Text field. Huey Lewis and the News. This is the album Sports and was released in 1983. Track list. Track 1 The Heart of Rock and Roll. Track 2 Heart and Soul. Track 3 Bad is Bad. Track 4 I Want a New Drug. Track 5 Walking on a Thin Line. Track 6 Finally Found a Home. Track 7 If This Is It. Track 8 You Crack Me Up. Track 9 Honky Tonk Blues.
Now this next album, well, going back to Huey Lewis for a second, I don't have 1,000 albums, so I can quickly enter text either on my phone using the on-screen keyboard, a Braille display, a Bluetooth keyboard. But for this next album, which is one of my favorite albums, I use a service called Wikipedia. And so once I've got the album name and the artist, I type that into wikipedia.org and get all the album information required that is interesting to me. And so I'm going to let this read for a minute as well, and you can actually hear how much text a tag can contain. And I haven't run out of room yet, so here we go.
Scanner ready, read button. Alert. Ready to scan. Text field. This album is called Graham Nash David Crosby. Studio album by Crosby and Nash. Released April 5th, 1972. Recorded 1972. Studio Wally Heater Studio 3. Los Angeles, CA. Genre. Rock. Length. 35, 26 label. Atlantic. Producer. David Crosby, Graham Nash, Bill Halverson. After the split of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young in the summer of 1970, all four members would release solo albums over the next 12 months. Neil Young and Stephen Stills would both pursue independent band projects through the early years of the decade, Young working with Crazy Horse and the Stray Gators, with Stills assembling Manassas. Both If I Could Only Remember My Name and Songs for Beginners respectively by Crosby and Nash fared well in the marketplace, and in the autumn of 1971 the duo embarked on a series of concerts together. Unable or unwilling to include Stills and Young, the success of the tour led Crosby and Nash to take the new songs auditioned on the road into the recording studio. Sessions for this album featured backing from notable guests Dave Mason and members of the Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia, Phil Lesh and Bill Kreutzmann. Most of the musical support came from the Section, a quartet of in-demand session musicians on the West Coast in the 1970s. Consisting of Craig Dorge, Danny Korchmer, Leland Sklar, and Russell Kunkel, they would appear on dozens of albums, notably those by James Taylor, Carole King, and Jackson Browne. They would also continue to work with Crosby and Nash for the remainder of the decade, both in the studio and on tour. The songs continue the qualities that marked the pair's work with the larger aggregate. This
So
album is called
I can let that
this
keep
album is
going,
called
but
Graham Nash
there's a
Days
lot of
WayAround.
information that you can store on a WayTag.
And Ryan, I think it does really show, you know, just how much information you can store on a WayTag. And we have somebody asking, how do you get all that information from Wikipedia onto the WayTag?
Well, this is the labor of love, and that's why I don't do it for all of my albums. But like I mentioned earlier, once I have the artist name and the album title, I go into Wikipedia and there's a search box there. So I type that in using my computer because I'm a faster typer than I am a touch typer on my iPhone. So I do a search for the album or the artist. And then once that link comes up, I bring up all that information. And I usually just copy the entire article into Microsoft Word or Notepad and do all my editing there because there's going to be graphics and there's going to be little sub-articles and other headings and stuff that I just don't really care about. I want the album information. I want the track listing. I want who played on the album, who produced it, where it was produced, the album label, all that sort of information. It's almost like liner notes that are accessible to me. So once I have that in Word, I typically edit it, and then I'll put that into an email to myself because I can get my email on my phone. So once, So once I've got a microphone issue here. So once I receive that email with all that content on my phone, I then use the rotor on my phone and VoiceOver to select all and then copy that. Once it's copied, I open the WayAround app and I go to create a tag. And in the description field, I can paste all of that content and then touch the tag, and that tag has now been labeled. So it's a little bit of a, like I said, labor of love. But again, to get all that content and all that information related to a specific album or, you know, a movie, a Blu-ray, you could do the same thing with. Just about anything, to me, is invaluable.
That's great, Ryan. And somebody was just asking if WayAround works on the iPad, which would, you know, at least allow you to do all of that from the same device. And WayAround does work on the iPad. You can get the, or Android tablets as well. You can get the app. None of the iPads have an NFC reader, so you would need the WayLink in order to actually read and write the info, but then all of the information would be displayed on the iPad. And really that's probably more convenient because you wouldn't want to take your giant tablet around and touch tags. It would be a little bit cumbersome. So we have a lot of people who use both a tablet and your phone. You can be logged into the same account on more than one device, and the information, because it's syncing to the cloud, it will sync between devices as long as those devices are connected to the internet, either via cell data or via Wi-Fi. And I have a few more questions, and we have about 15 minutes left. And Darwin, I want to check in with you because we were going to talk about details and detail types, and I'm thinking that we should save that for another session all on its own. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. We've got lots of questions on the WayLink, so let's continue with the WayLink, and if we have other specific questions, we can go ahead and talk about that.
Okay, perfect. We have a bunch of hands up. Cynthia, you are next. Go right ahead.
Thanks, but my questions were answered.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you, Cynthia. And Pat with a butterfly.
Hi.
Hi, Pat.
Some of my questions were answered already, but I do still have one. Melissa was talking about the reel she attaches it to her WayLink. Is that included with the WayLink?
It is. It's something that we had sent to Melissa, but we do have a bunch. So if you buy a WayLink, send us a note and we will send you one of those reels as well, because it's something newer that we've gotten and we think they're really handy. And if you're someone who's already purchased a WayLink previously and you would like one of those, just email connect@wayaround.com and we'll get you one of those.
Well, I didn't buy one because I did buy new 11 phone, but it sounds like it's more convenient to have the link, you know, from what I'm hearing. Does anybody just use their phone instead of the link?
You know, a lot of people scan just with their phones and a lot of people really like the WayLink. I think it's a matter of personal preference. And you can hear from Melissa and Tina and some other people who use the WayLink. It sounds like they would never go back.
That's what it sounds like. Thank you.
Good. Yes, thank you so much, Pat.
You.
And Brent, you are up next.
Okay, well, I had a question, and I don't know if you want to answer it because you're talking about the WayLink, but I wanted to find out about the a question about the labels, like the laundry labels, the sewing. Is there a way to put those on to a garment without sewing at all?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I am using some of the oval hole buttons for my clothes, and those are ones that have a kind of a larger hole in the middle that you can attach with a safety pin to tags in your clothes or any part of your clothes that you think would be useful for you to scan the tag. I know Jessica had mentioned last week to use stainless steel safety pins on those so that they won't rust in the washer and dryer, but they can go through the washer and dryer, and I have many of them that I've used that have gone through multiple times, and they're not damaged and they still work properly.
Okay, and also I was curious, why do they have different? You say oval hole or round hole? Is that why do they have the different kinds? Is that because they go on certain garments or something, or what's the?
That's a really good question. The round hole ones actually can be sewn on if that's something you want to do. The oval hole buttons, you wouldn't really probably be able to sew those on very easily. But the other buttons, they do have a set. I know WayAround sells a set with a cork and some needles and thread to sew on the buttons with the round holes.
Yes,
if that's something you want to do.
Yeah, that's the laundry starter pack, and it comes with a really big cork that you can stick a needle in. It's a self-threading needle, so if you're someone who likes to sew, the 2-hole buttons are a little bit smaller, so you can sew them into a garment. The oval hole buttons are by far our most popular product because you can use them, as Melissa said, with a safety pin on your garments, but then you can also use them in the freezer. Gardeners tie them to their seedlings, tomato plants. I'm always hearing new ideas of how to use those. The buttons are completely waterproof. They are heat proof up to about 250 degrees Fahrenheit and cold proof down to -40 degrees.
Jessica?
Yes.
One of the things I want to point out is on the buttons, these buttons are really probably not going to be used as a button on the garment to button up your sleeve or your shirt or something like that. These buttons are primarily so that you can sew on someplace that is inconspicuous, and so that they will go through the laundry, and dryer or dry cleaner or whatever, without being damaged, and you can just leave them on the clothes. So don't think in terms of using the button to replace a button that's already on the clothes, because these buttons are a little bit bigger than your typical button.
Right. The 2-hole button is about the size of a nickel, and the oval hole button is about the size of a quarter if you're in the US. And Melissa, you have some really good tips about where to actually put those buttons. Could you give people some of those ideas?
Oh, right, yes. What I found with the oval hole buttons, first I got my oval hole buttons in the mail from WayAround, and I went through and put safety pins on each one because I had a lot of clothes to label, and I wanted to go through and label them as quick as possible. But what I found, at least with women's clothes, on most shirts and dresses, on the left, below the, like where your left sleeve is, down some toward the bottom hem, there's always a care tag with washing instructions. And I have been sticking pinning my buttons to those tags. And they go through the washer attached there. And they stay on, they don't catch on anything. They go through the washer and the dryer. Sorry, got a little bit of background noise here. Sorry, guys. So that's where I've been putting them on my clothes, and it seems to work really well. I have not had one fall off. They just stay put. And like I said, I pin them to those extra tags that are hanging down on the left side of the inside of the shirt. And on some shirts, it's where they have the extra button attached. Some shirts with buttons will give you an extra button, and they'll attach it down there, and take that off and just attach my safety pin with my oval hole button.
Perfect, thank you. And I think, consistency is really key wherever, you decide that you want to put those buttons. Some people put them, in their shirt collars. Some people put them in the sleeve of a long sleeve shirt. For pants, the hem often works well if they're hanging up or even folded. So it's a matter of personal convenience. I've heard of some people who actually open up the hem and put the button inside so that you don't have to feel it against your skin at all. So there's all sorts of creative ways that people attach them. But I think consistency, just like with any system, you want to know that it's going to be the same from one item to another. And I am seeing a whole bunch of hands up, and we have about 2 more minutes for questions. I'm going to take a couple of people who haven't had a chance to speak yet. Rich, you are on.
Thank you. Can someone else with the WayAround app on their phone read a tag that I created on my phone?
That's a great question. So all of the information is private to your account. So when you download the WayAround app, you'll create an account with your name and your email address and a password. Now you can have the same account on multiple devices. Like I mentioned, you might have an iPad and an iPhone, and you can be logged in with to the same account and read the same information. But if I come along with a different account, I can't read the information on your tags. So I think last week we were talking about tagging items in your wallet, putting credit card information and that type of stuff. You can rest assured that that is private to you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Good question.
And Jessica, I want to follow up on that real quickly. In fact, the information is not actually even written to that tag. So if you lost that tag, someone else could not get that information by sitting and playing with it. It is private to your account and your phone.
Great, thanks. And it looks like we have time for one more, and Denise, you are up.
So am I to assume that in order to use your phone with NFC reader, that you have to have it out of any case that you have it in?
No, in fact, most cases work. Melissa, you use a case, right?
Yeah, I have a thick OtterBox case on my phone, the thickest you can have. I've got kids, sometimes they get hold of the phone. I want my phone to still work. So I have the toughest, thickest OtterBox case that they make. And I've been using it in that case. Before I got my WayLink, it still worked perfectly. But again, as Jessica mentioned earlier, you actually have to really touch the edge of your phone to that tag, especially when you've got a case, to make sure that it does pick it up. You have to physically touch them together.
Great, thank you.
And the only case that I've ever seen not work with WayAround was one, I'll call it a case with bling, that, and the bling actually had some metal in it, which metal will interfere with the technology. All of our square tags, if you have a metal item, you want to get a square tag because they have a barrier layer so that the metal does not interfere. But there was a case that I think it was glittery, and it was actually bits of metal in the case, and it was enough metal that it wouldn't allow the NFC reader to read. So that is the one and only case I have seen not work. And so we are about 4 minutes to the end of this, and I know there's still a lot of questions out there. Please, if you have a question that I didn't answer or that someone on the webinar didn't answer, definitely send me an email. In our wrap up, I'll send you a link to a web page with a recording of this so that you can go back and watch it. And then a lot of the resources that we've talked about will also be included. So make sure you scroll down. Last week we put some links to accessories on Amazon, and this week we'll include some of the resources and answers to questions as well. I know several people have asked about the price on the WayLink. It retails for $99.99 US dollars. It's available through Canadian Assistive Technology in Canadian dollars, and a lot of our distributors. For everyone who is registered for our webinars, you can use a coupon code. It's more tags. That's 2 words, more tags, but all run together. So MORETAGS, and that gets you 20% off, including 20% off of the WayLink. So it would be $79.99 US dollars. It's a great deal if you want to try that. And make sure if you do order one to let us know either on the order notes or by sending us an email if you want one of those badge reels like Melissa was demonstrating. We'd be happy to include that. I do want to let everyone know next week is a webinar that is not to be missed. If you've been enjoying these, you are in for a real treat next week. It is the week of GAD, Global Accessibility Awareness Day, which is on Thursday. Our webinar will still be on Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. And we have 3 experts in the field: Neva Fairchild from the American Foundation for the Blind, Paul Paravano, who works at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Charlie Warren, who is with the Carroll Center for the Blind. They will be on a panel talking about the future of WayAround. So we've talked a lot about the personal uses for WayAround. And for those who don't know, Darwin and Armand, the WayAround co-founders, are both architects. And the vision from the beginning has been to get WayAround in public spaces to get better information about all the little details about spaces and places that you go and items that you would be using regularly. So definitely tune in. If you have friends or colleagues, please invite them. We have room for everybody, and feel free to send them the link or send them the webinar link directly, but I will send out more information about that soon, but definitely tune in. And I'll say the coupon code again. It's more tags. It gets you 20% off. It's good through June 3rd, and it's available through most of the WayAround distributors. So if you prefer buying in Canada or through AT Guys, who was on earlier in the series, feel free to go ahead and do that. So with that, thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Ryan. It's been tremendous to hear your tips, the way that you're using WayAround. I know there were some questions for our presenters that we didn't get to. So I will definitely make sure to connect with them. And if you have a question for them, I'll get you in touch. So thanks again. We really appreciate everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.